Gaza is burning. A brutal Israeli offensive tears through the city, leaving destruction and despair in its wake. Thousands displaced, hostages trapped, and war crimes accusations mounting. As Netanyahu doubles down on militarization, the world watches in horror. How far will power go before humanity breaks completely? On September 16th, Israel unleashed its most ferocious ground offensive in Gaza City since the war erupted, declaring that Gaza is burning as tanks and explosives-laden armored vehicles thundered into the heart of the Palestinian territory's largest and most densely populated urban stronghold.
Gaza is burning. The IDF strikes with an iron fist at the terrorist infrastructure, and IDF soldiers are fighting bravely to create the conditions for the release of the hostages and the defeat of Hamas. We will not relent and we will not go back until the completion of the mission.
The offensive represents Israel's most ambitious military operation yet, targeting what officials describe as Hamas's central stronghold.
Tonight, in accordance with the directive of the political leadership, we launch the next stage of the major operation. The objective of the operation is the return of the hostages and the defeat of Hamas in Gaza City.
The Israeli military deployed 3 full divisions for the assault, with ground forces advancing toward Gaza City's center, while aerial bombardments pounded residential buildings throughout the night.
Ground forces began an offensive into the heart of Gaza City tonight. Now, the 98th Division and the 162nd Division are operating in Gaza City. And in the coming days, the 36th Division will join the maneuver.
Satellite imagery captured on September 16th revealed the massive scale of Israel's military buildup, showing armored vehicles positioned on nearly all sides of Gaza City. The images provide a snapshot of forces deployed at 9 a.m. local time, demonstrating Israel's encirclement strategy around the metropolitan area. Israeli officials estimate they face up to 3,000 Hamas fighters entrenched throughout the city. The military's approach involves using converted armored personnel carriers, loaded with explosives and controlled remotely to target suspected Hamas positions before detonation. However, Israeli military officials acknowledge this operation will require sustained commitment. Defrin warned that seizing Gaza City would take months, stating,
"We are not constrained by time. We will operate as long as required. It would take several months to seize Gaza City and several more months, perhaps longer, to clear the city, because Hamas infrastructure is deep-rooted and entrenched."
The offensive triggered another wave of mass displacement. An estimated 350,000 Palestinians have evacuated Gaza City, according to Israeli figures, with columns of families streaming south in donkey carts, rickshaws, and on foot. The ground assault launched with full American backing as President Donald Trump issued stark warnings to Hamas about using hostages as human shields. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump delivered an unmistakable threat.
Here Hamas is trying to use the old human shield deal, and if they do that, they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be in big trouble. They put it out 2 days ago that they're going to use the hostages as human shields. That's something that hasn't been done for a long time. If they put the hostages in front of them, Hamas, as protection, as what they call them bodyguards, Hamas is going to have hell to pay.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insisted that talks with Trump remained unaffected despite the Israeli airstrike on Qatar.
I had a few conversations with him after the attack, and they were all very good, including our conversation yesterday. He invited me to the White House, which will take place in 2 weeks on Monday after my speech at the UN.
The timing proves significant, as the meeting occurs amid mounting international pressure. A UN Commission of Inquiry concluded that Israel had committed genocide in Gaza, findings that Trump appeared unfamiliar with when questioned by reporters.
We saw that the UN said that Israel is guilty of genocide, that they've committed acts of genocide in Gaza.
They voted on that?
They have a new report out saying multiple acts of genocide.
When it comes to a vote, we'll see what happens.
Netanyahu also used a press conference to issue his own dire warning to Hamas regarding the remaining hostages.
If they harm a hair on the head of even one hostage, we will hunt them down with greater force until the end of their lives. And that end will come much faster than they think.
Hours before launching the Gaza City assault, Netanyahu delivered perhaps his most revealing speech yet, painting a vision of Israel as an isolated military state that must adapt to economic self-reliance. His controversial super-Sparta remarks sent shockwaves through Israeli markets and society. Speaking at a finance ministry conference on September 15th, Netanyahu acknowledged uncomfortable realities.
Israel is in a sort of isolation. We will increasingly need to adapt to an economy with autarkic characteristics.
Despite his personal preferences for free markets, Netanyahu outlined a militaristic future.
I am a believer in the free market, but we may find ourselves in a situation where our arms industries are blocked. We will need to develop arms industries here, not only research and development, but also the ability to produce what we need.
The markets responded immediately. Tel Aviv Stock Exchange shares dropped, with the TA 125 index falling 1.8%. The Israeli Business Forum, representing 200 major companies, declared,
"We are not Sparta. Netanyahu's policies are marching the country toward a political, economic, and social abyss that will endanger our existence in Israel."
Facing intense criticism, Netanyahu attempted damage control at Tuesday's press conference, claiming market fears represented a misunderstanding.
The Israeli economy is very strong. I have terrific confidence in it. It is strong, it is innovative, it weathered 2 economic crises.
However, his defense industry plans remained unchanged.
There is a race now for weapons in the world, but it is not a market race. Because unlike everything else that we could talk about, that's controlled by governments, and their calculations can sometimes be political, not necessarily economic. And therefore, what we are going to do is to build an arms industry that will match the best arms industries in the world.
As Gaza burns and international pressure mounts, Netanyahu's path forward involves embracing isolation while betting on military supremacy. Whether Israel's society will accept his super-Sparta vision remains the crucial question as this devastating conflict enters its most intensive phase yet.